Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabados of Dalmar. We have a very special guest with us, Mrs. Judy Miller. Welcome, Judy, to the Jewish View.
Thank you for inviting me.
Very good. Listen, you have an interesting story, and it's the story about your son. Your son was born with Down syndrome. And tell us about him, and we're going to talk about not only children with Down syndromes, but the things they can accomplish. You know, of course, you know, obviously they have a problem if they have Down syndrome, but, you know, just to write them off and saying, oh, well, he's a sick child, forget about it. So you have accomplished a lot of things together with your son. So start off, tell us about, you know, about your son, how old he is and where he's gone and where he's doing.
Okay, I have this is a picture of my son, and I am the proud mom of a 30-year-old man who has Down syndrome, and everyone has a different mission in life. And for Sam, he has more abilities and disabilities. And we all have favorite things, and for Sam, it's learning anything Jewish. When Sam is learning, he has an inner glow. You combine Sam's strengths of being friendly and outgoing with his enthusiasm, self-confidence, and willingness to try new things has led Sam to be a contributing member in the Jewish community. Sam's story is about looking at his abilities and challenging him to his full potential. So Sam is now living his dream.
Now listen, this is interesting. I mean, you knew right away that he had Down syndrome when he was born?
Yes, we knew he had Down syndrome. The doctors do a test. They do a chromosomal analysis. Yeah, you get the results back. Probably with the first week we knew that he had Down syndrome because it's obvious at birth. And we know that it's pretty standard. I mean, when he was born 30 years ago, they said it was 1 in 800. Now the statistics, I don't know if they're like 1 in every 770 or something. They're pretty standard across populations. It's something that happens. He has an extra chromosome, but he's different like everybody else is different.
Yeah, of course, everybody's an individual. Now, did you, I mean, immediately, you know, you hear these stories where maybe the doctors or people say, well, you know, sorry, like we know right away Down syndrome, you know, you just don't have a normal child and just institutionalize them, just forget about it, you can't do anything about it, or, you know, what did they say to you at the beginning? You know, it's again 30 years ago, and obviously he's, like you say, he's accomplished a lot, especially that he has the Down syndrome. You know, what was your attitude? And maybe it's different than other parents who have Down syndrome where they tell them, you know, all right, just forget about him, he's a nice kid, but he can't accomplish anything.
Well, they did say that hopefully the protocol has changed because as parents have spoken up about it, but they told me I was alone. I called my husband at work and says, please return to the hospital. You know, we're talking about the first or second day. I mean, life is blurry. I don't remember exactly. It was very soon, you know, when the doctor comes to visit. You know, and they need to have a better way to tell parents because you're telling them something, you know, here's a child born. It's a happy occasion. It's not something to be sad about. Yes, it's a challenge, but we had to seek out, Sam was enrolled in school from the time he was 6 weeks old, thanks to a friend who I met through a synagogue. The synagogue we belonged to, they steered me in the right direction and said, call this place, this is where you can get services. So he started as young as he could start. And, you know, we just happened to be...
That was against a trend 30 years ago? I mean, people were saying, I mean, 6 weeks is pretty early for anybody. I mean, even for a normal child.
Well, they start the public school system because of the legislation that was enacted in the late 70s, and Sam was born in 1980, you can start at birth. So when he was 6 weeks old, he started in school. When you know there are not too many disabilities, you know birth. Down syndrome is one of them. It is apparent at birth, and you check by a chromosomal analysis, which I don't know if that took a week or two to get back, and then you know, and then you can start interventions. Other disabilities you don't know until the child starts developing. You don't know if kids have speech and language issues, if that's all their issues are, until they start speaking. You can't tell a lot of disabilities. You know, and other disabilities, autism isn't apparent at birth. A lot of times there's a lot of disabilities that you don't know, or doctors say wait and see.
Yeah, so it's interesting that at least you caught it right away and, you know, you could start working with them over here.
Right.
Now, have you accomplished a lot, you feel? I mean, you know, I'm sure he is. I know Sam, and now he's not in, you know, the Capital District, but I mean, it probably takes a lot of hard work over here to work with a child like that.
Oh, yes, it's been an awful lot of work, and it wasn't easy to accomplish. I mean, from the time he was born, okay, yes, we enrolled in the schools when he was 6 weeks old, but there were many teachers, and you would expect teachers who are in special ed
Right.
to be looking at abilities, not disabilities, but he was judged by the label on his face from the time he was born, where you can't do anything. You have Down syndrome. And when he was in the public school system, or when he got to the point where, you know, okay, he needs speech therapy, and he's still getting speech therapy, but his speech is improving, but the fact it was a fight to get that, to make that known. Reading, writing, things parents who have children, you send them to school so they can read and write.
Now, he was enrolled in a normal, a regular school,
No,
you're
he was
saying?
in special ed.
And why was it so difficult to get? I mean, these figures, special ed is geared up for children like that. So why was it so
Because-
difficult? I don't understand.
Because the teachers are the general ed, us Jews, we don't look at can't. We look at abilities. We look at doing.
And they were just ready to write them off
It's
a little
just a
bit, you're saying, or
babysitting service. A
something?
lot of school is a babysitting service. It's sad to say, but the teachers are there. The kids can't tell you if this works or doesn't work for you. They're not able to verbalize themselves, and for whatever reason, whatever circles he was in, now I pushed them, the schools pushed back, I found loopholes, and we worked with Sam, but all these different things that you would just take for granted and say, well, the teacher's going to want the kid to succeed, didn't seem to be, in the places my son was, didn't seem to be where their heads were at. They were just there. They had, you write out, you have a IEP, individual educational plan, and you write out what goals are, but that doesn't mean that the people are understanding what to do with it. I think that those people who may have had it as a family member, if people go into the field with a family member, they at least understand disability. I don't know the teachers who take special ed, if they all understand. What does it mean? Some do.
Really, it's interesting to note. I would think they're very sensitized. That's why I'm very amazed at that, what you're saying. You know, maybe in the general population and, you know, a general school and someone has some problems, maybe you'd say, okay, they can't deal with it, and I'd understand it, but you'd think they'd be geared up, special ed situations for this.
Some are, some aren't. I'm not saying, you know, it's just, in the schools we were in with the teachers that we had, they weren't geared up for someone like Sam who wanted to learn. I mean, he was, you know,
In that category, I mean, I know you're a mother and you love your son, but trying to be objective, was he in a way exceptional that he wanted to learn more than maybe other children with the Down syndrome? I mean, you know, you hear about these stories, you know, I mean, people that are autistic, and they do accomplish a lot of things. And, you know, you read these stories, well, the general, you know, doctors or whatever, the educators want to just write these kids off. You got a sick kid, sorry, but, you know, write them off. And they go on, and because of the parents' help, they do accomplish sometimes great things.
right.
You know,
so-
Temple Grandin is probably, what to me, I'm famous, maybe there's other people know, you know, autistic, and she even has a PhD, you know, and she teaches. So I'm just saying, is he maybe in this category? Maybe you, you know, obviously involved yourself a great deal, but he accomplished a lot more than, you know, the teachers or educators would expect from a child with Down syndrome.
Right, in a lot of areas he has. You know, so, and we did push, but it's like we're focused on his gifts and talents, his strengths, his goals, his dreams. I looked at what does Sam want, you know, and I don't know if everyone, you know, does that. So, and Sam was demonstrating that this was an interest of his. So, you know, and I guess we were focusing on his abilities. I became a trailblazer because my son was getting involved in things, you know, and he was opening doors. So we just did it together, you know. And, you know, when he got involved in the Jewish community, he was the first kid in metropolitan Detroit in a day school who was included. He was included on a Sunday, but he was there. And that was the first. In the 90s, things were changing. So things have changed.
Good.
But
so
a
you
lot
have
of
seen that through the years, that
Yes.
things are becoming a little bit more.
Yeah, but I trailblazed a lot of them.
Really?
If you
Very
go to
good.
Metro Detroit, a lot of the stuff, people will say, Sam was first. So somebody had to be first. So,
Oh, that's the merit. That's why we want to hear your story, because it is important. I mean, to me, that it's important that a parent doesn't have to just say, like people write, and I've been using the word write them off. You could advocate for your child and, and push the system, so to speak, and to push your child and to accomplish more than the system would want
Right.
you to have, or something like that.
right. Okay, so, Sam loved books. From the time he was small, I don't remember, I'm sure before he started speaking, he loved books. By age 4, he was using flashcards. He'd already learned the alphabet. And here he is at age 6. Here's stuff like snowmobile, automobile, all different types of large words that he was sight reading. At age 7,
Can I ask you, I'm asking just because I don't know myself, and I'm sure the audience doesn't, for the most part, doesn't know it either. This is exceptional for a Down syndrome. Usually they can't read, can they? This would be an exceptional thing for
but-
these children, wouldn't it?
but
To know like words and to read.
I don't know, but at age
don't know,
6
I
and
don't
7,
know
that's when kids
myself.
learn to read. Why should he be treated? If you include someone, why assume that he can't? If other children can read at age 6 and 7 and learn to read from books, like he did learn to read. He learned to read sentences when he was 7. Why can't he?
That's a good attitude.
Why should we limit him and say you can't? There are children who are delayed, but reading opens up worlds. When children can read at whatever levels they can read at, they have a world open to them up that is closed if they can't read. And but Sam learned through this. He opened his own doors. At age 10, he learned Hebrew. By age 11, he was reading without vowels, and he was learning to learn from the Torah. That is exceptional. In 6 months after he learned to read Hebrew, he's reading from the Torah. But
So really, in intelligence, then that makes them a little bit even on the exceptional side.
yeah,
Most kids can't even do, a regular child, you ask them to do that. It's not like he's slow. On the contrary, the way you're describing him, I would say, even a regular child saying, 6 months and he's reading, I say, well, you got a pretty bright child over there.
Right.
That's the way I would just even describe a normal child.
right.
So he is really, has he been tested in his intelligence? It's probably, maybe he's in a high level of intelligence, isn't he?
Well, this area is strong for him. He
The
does
reading.
the reading. That is where he excels. So that is not with the rest of his skills. So to just test him in that, he's demonstrating that in the community, but he does have deficit areas. I am giving you all the good things about my son, that have helped him and have opened lots of doors for him, but it's not, he does have needs. He is currently living in a group home in Brooklyn, so he does have needs and need that. But he has this gift, which he shares with everyone. So just like everyone has gifts and everyone has
Yeah.
weaknesses.
All right,
So
excellent.
I guess back with Sam was enrolled in a program called FSHAR when we were in Michigan. It
What's
was
the name again? You said it a
called
little fast.
FSHAR. It was a Sunday morning program where individuals with special needs went, and they were paired generally one-on-one with a teacher. He was with his teacher from the time he was like 10 till he was 26. They met every Sunday morning. So while he was there were many teachers who trained there. A lot of the students who were going through who wanted to be teachers, they trained in FSHAR and then they move on into the different day schools. One of these people was Sarah Manucha Khan. And a couple of years after that, her and her husband opened a school called Darchei Torah. And we approached her about Sam attending there. And Sam went from 5th grade through 8th
So
grade.
wait a minute, he started in regular public school and then
He
he
was in-
transferred to a Hebrew day school?
He was in public school system. This is Sunday morning.
Right.
He's not in public school. So on Sunday mornings, when whatever, I don't remember how old Sam was, but with 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys for those 4 years, Sam went to Darchei Torah on Sunday mornings with
Just
those.
to explain to you, this is a Hebrew day school.
It's a Hebrew day school, right. He went with those boys. He learned, he was included in their classroom. He did have a shadow with him, but he was in school with them. And he learned something very important that you would say is basic being a rabbi. He learned Jewish boys learn from Jewish books. That opened a world for him. You know, that was a concept because that's what they were doing. And
this was a normal the Hebrew day school for regular children?
This was just a regular, yeah, he was included.
And he fit in right in there.
Well, he was there with a shadow in class Sunday mornings when they were meeting. Whatever they were doing, he was there. And he was part of what was going on. And that was what he took from there. And he blossomed from that experience. You have to be, when you include someone, it's sometimes the things that go on in the environment. It's being in the environment. Why do you include kids? Kids who are in day schools, there are kids who go to day schools full time. And it's from the environment. They may or may not be learning the exact curriculum, but it's the environment that they're learning, that they see. If they see Jewish boys learning out of Jewish books, they know that that's the right thing to do. If you don't see that, how do you can't tell them about it?
No, it's excellent. No, it's incredible though.
Right.
Because really, you know, we always have the hard idea that, you know, children are going to regular day school and they're getting a regular general education like everybody does, plus a supplemental Hebrew subjects. They're learning a foreign language. I mean, it's difficult even for your average child. I mean,
Right.
I'm just talking about the normal average thing. You know, you're learning a foreign language, you're reading a foreign language and understanding it, not just reading it, and learning new concepts. And this is all in addition to the regular curriculum. You know, and the child goes to regular curriculum and goes outside and plays baseball.
Right.
And does nothing over the weekend, watches TV, you know,
Right.
again, and plays games. So in addition to all the regular studies, they're literally taking a dual
Right.
subject course. So it's difficult even for your regular child,
Right.
you know, that it's not an easy thing to take two sets of subjects. You know, some children go from, you know, 8 in the morning till 4 or 5, you know, and
Right.
things like that. Or even in high school,
Right.
you know, they're going a full day instead of 8 to 2 or 7 to 2. You know, regular children are going all the way through the night.
Right. Right.
So I'm just saying it's hard for anybody, difficult, let alone, you know, child has problems. So this is major accomplishments for
Right.
Sam.
Okay. Here's a picture of Sam at his bar mitzvah, and Sam leaned at his bar mitzvah.
Lane, again, just
Reading the
using
Torah.
the Jewish word. Yeah,
Right.
he read the Torah, just translate for everybody. He read from the Torah again. I mean, I just put in my comments because, I mean, just don't think for, like, again, of course, I deal with so many different children. For even a regular student, you know, it's read from the Torah. First of all, like I said, it's a Hebrew language. Number two, people know Hebrew. Is not written in the Bible. I mean, you could read it in a printed one, but in the original, which he has to read from in the synagogue, does not have any vowels. So I mean, it's a high level of learning already. A lot of children, even adults, can't do it. I mean, you know, I mean, in English you have a dog, D-O-G, but just a D-G, and then you're supposed to know what it's supposed to be without vowels. It's not easy. That's what I'm saying, even for a regular student. I just want to emphasize that to people, that this is an accomplishment. If you'd say, I have a normal child, they had a good, nice Jewish education, supplemental, they had a bar mitzvah, I'd say, wow, you know, you have a good child, and even if it be everything normal, I would give compliments, because it is an achievement, but let alone, that's why I want to just emphasize people, it's not a little thing what he's accomplishing.
In addition to that, he can translate and tell you what it says when he's reading it, which is the next level, because he understands the words.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not going to meet that many children are able to do that in a regular situation.
You know, he's translating from the Hebrew to the English, you know, as he's reading it.
No, it's excellent. No, that's what I'm saying. I just want to emphasize that it's no little accomplishment at all.
Right. Okay. After Sam's bar mitzvah, he has continued reading Torah multiple times a year, many different places. Throughout Sam's life, I'm going to talk about inclusion. And I mean, Sam has made friends. And the friends that Sam has made Most of them are leaders in the community, rabbis, and teachers. And
I just, again, expect a mother to say nice things, but I do know Sam, know him not for that long, because like Mrs. Miller is saying that they lived in Detroit, but now they moved to the Capital District, so now I know them now, and the family, and he's just a very personable, we use the word personable person, Sam, because, he comes in, he's smiling, and he hugs people, he shakes their hand, so, even in personality, really, even if a regular child would say, hey, come in, how you doing, into a crowd, just, hey, that kid's all right. He's a real personality, let alone, yes, again, I emphasizing, you think, well, he's got problems, he's going to be different, worse than everybody else. On the contrary, he excels even in personality. So I just, I can be from an outsider, I can give testimony that he's just a nice guy, is always friendly when he comes around.
Right. Sam, we were at a small synagogue in Michigan, where a lot of times Sam was the 10th man. So there was that he really counted there, literally, because it takes 10 men to have a service. So, and at this synagogue, there was this man named Charlie. And Charlie was the first person who shared that Sam inspired him. This was a guy who was a psychologist. He works with individuals with developmental disabilities, so he knows the population, but he was inspired that he started laning. He said Sam has this uncanny ability to inspire people to try things that they would regularly be apprehensive of. He said, quote, that Sam is very self-confident, accepts challenge, very self-assured, positive risk-taking, uninhibited, and very enthusiastic. Charlie and others have high expectations of Sam. So since there's high expectations for his role models, he attains them. He's smiling like the bright sun and beaming with enthusiasm and joy at his accomplishments. He's excelling in this environment when he's sharing all his gifts and talents. Family. There are bar and bat mitzvahs that occur in families. Well, my family has the same thing. My sister has 2 sons. They had bar mitzvahs. My son was one of the Torah laners at their bar mitzvahs. My husband's side of the family, his first cousin, his daughter had a bat mitzvah. Sam was one of the Torah laners. He was invited.
Again, laner means a reader, Torah reader.
But he was invited to be with family. This is inclusion.
You know what? Let me ask you something. Everybody loves family. Everybody has friends. But how much would really, even outside of influence probably help them? Just the enthusiasm, the acceptance maybe is the best way to put it, help them along. Hey, Sam, we want you, we're with you.
Yeah, everybody's
just saying, even a normal child,
right.
If you say, get away, you're nothing, well, all right, I'm nothing, I'll be nothing. That's the old adage. And then if you say, hey, you're smart, you're a good kid, okay, I'll be a good kid. But how much is that from the outside influence helping Sam from loving parents and, like you're saying, the friends and the family saying, hey, Sam, you're one of us.
Yeah.
And then you feel, okay, I'm one of you, I'll do with, I could do exactly what you can do.
Well, that's why
without feeling, like inferior.
That's
I think that's a very important,
He's part of the community. When you're part of the community, you're part of everything in the community, including family, including friends, including everyone. You are included. That is what inclusion is.
But that's so much for his development. I'm saying, that's
right.
Makes him have a positive feeling about himself. Hey, if I'm one of you, I'll act like one of you.
Right.
It's just like you tell a kid, you're stupid, you're stupid. All right, I'm stupid. If you say, hey, you're one of us, all right, I'll be one of you.
Right.
So how much is that positive influence the same?
But I think that's the trick.
Yeah.
I think that's the trick we need for our children. When our children are born with special needs, that's what needs to happen. And when it does happen, they reach their goals and dreams. And they reach their potential. And when it doesn't happen, they act the part. They can act stupid, they can act smart. They know the difference. They So, well, there was a direct care worker in Michigan who said about Sam when Sam was 18, Sam is so excited and enthusiastic about learning that it makes others excited about teaching. In 2000, Sam started going to a Yachad camp in New York. He flew for many years to camp, and he met many friends at camp.
Again, this is a special needs camp? I mean, I don't
Well,
know,
the
there's so many
camp-
camps around.
The camp, there was a bunk of special needs guys. Well, the Orthodox, the bunks are separate. So there was a
Boys.
boys bunk and a girls bunk at this particular camp. There were 1,000 other campers. So Sam was included in camp, but he slept in his own bunk because there were 2 bunks with 1,000 other kids with special needs. So he was included, he just had support for sleeping. And there was some extra staff when he was doing stuff, but he was part of camp. You know, and he did things other people do. There is a program in 2003, Birthright. It's a program where anybody ages 18 to 26 wants to go to Israel, they can go. Well, Sam had this opportunity. He flew with support staff to Israel. Sam met a man named Jason. Jason helped Sam on his journey to Brooklyn, and Jason is a family friend. And so Sam, as I said, Sam's met lots of people throughout the years. A very interesting thing happened. Sam loves learning, okay? Well, the extension of learning is teaching. So my son has made the history books numerous times, and he met Karen through one of the programs he attended. Well, since we thought outside the box, Karen had a dream. Karen wanted to read in Hebrew. She had attended many programs, didn't work for her. So she asked Sam to teach her. So from March of 2005 until June of 2006, my son, the teacher, taught Karen, his student, at my dining room table. Karen now reads Hebrew. And Karen said, quote, "Sam took joy in my accomplishments, which encouraged me to persevere in my studies."
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. Then one Shabbos afternoon, and also in 2005, Sam and Rabbi Green, people in the Orthodox community, take walks on Shabbos. So was Sam. They got connected. They began learning at Rabbi Green's home. Within a short time, the 2 people joined together. It's called a chavrusa, when you have a group of 2 people who are learning together. Sam was invited with Rabbi Green. They went to the kollel of Metropolitan Detroit. And they became regulars at the kollel, learning partners. And Rabbi Green said about Sam, learning is a priority to him. He learns with gusto and always wants to learn more. He reads and translates very well and has tremendous recall for words in Hebrew. He can translate Hebrew into English.
All right. Just we're running out of time, and unfortunately, because it's an interesting story over here, and I'd like to talk more, but time is limited. Just maybe conclude with, pick up your picture so we conclude with a nice picture of Sam reading and learning, and you know, and it's really kudos to you and your husband that you raised a fine boy that, you know, didn't just write him off, as I've been saying, but used him as a special person.
And this is the
Put it in
article.
front of you, maybe.
Yeah, this is the article from, they completed a studying all the Jewish laws in Rosh Hashanah, and 100 people showed up at our home to congratulate Sam on his accomplishments.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Thank you.
Okay.